What Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe should do and should have done is just say, we got this wrong. We're really sorry. This has reinforced a view that I have, which is even more unfashionable than political conservatism, which is, if I had gone to Hogwarts, I would have hoped that the Sorting Hat would have put me in Slytherin.
The Harry Potter star, Emma Watson, has given an interview to a podcast recently in which she said that she had effectively disowned J.K. Rowling, but also, interestingly, seemed to be saying that actually she still kind of cared for J.K. Rowling and still loved her. She says, "It is my deepest wish that people who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can keep loving people with whom I don't necessarily share the same opinion with." And it was all very kind of hello trees, hello sky, let's all be friends. J.K. Rowling has then followed this up with an astonishing long tweet in which he talks about, frankly, sharing some quite personal stuff about her relationship with Emma Watson, and how she was taken aback by the extent to which Emma Watson didn't just critique her ideas, but seemed to have disowned her as a person and spoken of her as an immoral individual. And it's interesting because J.K. Rowling has actually kept very stum on how she feels about Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. So this felt a bit like, I don't know, pistols at dawn.
Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe owe everything to J.K. Rowling. They are, I'm sure, good actors and, nice to those
I'm
around
not so
them,
sure.
But neither of them has starred in or been responsible for anything as impactful or dramatically significant as their childhood roles in the film versions of J.K. Rowling's novels. And their idea of gratitude was when J.K. Rowling was being vilified for being a gender-critical feminist, to join in the punishment beating being administered to J.K. Rowling. Emma Watson, when she was being given an award, made some clever reference to this award is for all the witches. So, she was deliberately, trying to make a point that trans women are women and that J.K. is on the wrong side of history. Reach for the sick bag. So some people will think there is Emma Watson being sweet and nice and conciliatory and extending the hand of friendship and love to J.K. Rowling, and there is J.K. Rowling, the wicked stepmother of children's fiction, spurning this offer. But actually, even though I'm a great believer generally in forgiveness, generosity, and letting bygones be bygones, I'm completely with Jo Rowling on this one. What Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe should do and should have done is just say, we got this wrong. We're really sorry. One might think, what does it matter what actors say about a novelist? But it does matter, because J.K. Rowling was being incredibly brave in a debate, as she quite rightly points out, where the victims have been women who don't have the wealth or connections to be able to insulate themselves from predatory men posing as women who've entered women's spaces.
And some of the things that J.K. Rowling has shared really do lay bare, I think, the extent to which Emma Watson behaved in a craven manner. She apparently, after J.K. Rowling did her initial tweet that sparked all of this, in which she basically set out her views, her gender-critical beliefs, while still making the point that trans-identifying people should be treated with respect and kindness, but ultimately it's not possible for people to change sex, which is just an expression of scientific fact. She received an astonishing amount of vitriol, rape threats, death threats, online torment. And Emma Watson apparently got a mutual acquaintance to pass J.K. Rowling a note that said, "I'm so sorry for what you're going through." Without reaching out to her directly, she would have J.K. Rowling's number and didn't bother to get in touch and say sorry, that's horrible. Making the kind of pronouncements that you mentioned, like the award ceremony thing. What I found really annoying about that was she didn't just say, "I'm here for all the witches." She explicitly says, "I'm here for all the witches, bar one." I guess meaning J.K. Rowling, the inventor of the world that gave her absolutely everything. It's also interesting that Emma Watson decided to give this interview at all. I think it's a measure of the fact that the debate has shifted.
There are some people who say that actors shouldn't involve themselves in political debates. To what extent does an actor have any greater validity in a political conversation than anyone else, and they shouldn't use their celebrity to advance a position? I don't take that absolutist view, but it is far too often the case that actors follow bandwagons, that they want to be fashionable and zeitgeisty, and there was a period when making the argument that trans women are women was where the zeitgeist was. Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson wanted to be there. J.K. Rowling stood bravely against that on an issue of principle. The zeitgeist moves, as you say, following the Supreme Court ruling, and then suddenly it's no longer quite so chic to be in that position. And they also realise that as the debate has moved on, perhaps they should reframe themselves in order to, make sure that their profile continues to look good in an Overton window that has shifted. So they shift with it. I actually have a greater degree of respect for those actors whose political views I don't share, who have been consistently and remain consistently political advocates for unfashionable positions. So Samuel West, who I was at university with. Sam West is someone who is very firmly on the Ken Loach Corbynite left, passionate about the environment and climate change. He has consistently used the opportunities that his fame has given him to argue for that position. And even though I may disagree, he's a sincere and very thoughtful advocate. That I admire. What I find problematic are those people who regard political views like fashion accessories.
I also think we don't fully understand just how much with some celebrities there is an expectation that they express a view that is either woke or they shouldn't express a view at all. I wonder if this is because actors genuinely believe this, celebrities genuinely believe this, or is it the case that the ones who have some kind of dissenting view that may get them into trouble? The entertainment industry is big on cancellation. Do they just not say anything?
Yes.
Do they keep their views to themselves?
One person, though, in the roster of Harry Potter stars that I do want to, even though this may ruin his career, praise is Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy, because he backed J.K. Rowling both as a great writer and for giving him a leg up in his career and for her views. Now, this has reinforced a view that I have, which is even more unfashionable than political conservatism, which is, if I had gone to Hogwarts, I would have hoped that the Sorting Hat would have put me in Slytherin. Because
I'm sure it would have done, Michael.
Probably no controversy there. Because...
Well, I know I'm in Slytherin because I took the Pottermore quiz and it said I was, so we're both Slytherin.
Slytherins unite. As it turns out, the other houses have let J.K. Rowling down. And Alan Rickman, God bless his memory, and who, of course, played Severus Snape, and Tom Felton as Draco Malfoy, very different figures, but Slytherin forever.
Well, I've always said you can't trust Gryffindors because they're so worthy in the books, at least. The Gryffindors do really stupid things. Like, for example, in the fourth book, The Goblet of Fire, during the Triwizard Tournament, they have, in the second task, they all have a hostage who's been taken to the bottom of the Hogwarts Lake, and they all have to rescue their hostage and bring them back safely. But Harry, being a Gryffindor, decides that it would actually be a very good idea to not take your hostage and take them above to the top of the lake, but to wait at the bottom of the lake until all the hostages have been rescued. So he's trying to be a hero. It's actually quite stupid because in that moment, Harry is saying that Professor Dumbledore would have actually let them all drown if they weren't found within the hour limit. But it's just classic, pointless, goody two-shoes heroism for the sake of it.
Virtue signalling. That is the problem with Gryffindor.
A word for Robbie Coltrane as well, because he plays Hagrid, who is also a Gryffindor.
Oh, yes.
And I think he also stood by J.K. Rowling. And I don't think that it was done, as with Tom Felton, who I felt that when he was being interviewed, they tried to draw him so that he would say something overtly political, but he basically refused. He didn't express a view on gender identity. He just said, I like J.K. Rowling as a person, and I think she's done a great deal of good for the world. But in a way, I'm glad that someone expressed a view there, which many people have, which is a lot of people aren't particularly political in this world. And yet there is an insatiable demand for everyone to have an opinion on everything and for everyone to be political at every time.
Yes, for the political sorting hat to put people into particular houses or tribes, when there are lots of people who would say, actually, I don't want to get involved in that conflict or that fight, whether it's Farage versus Starmer or J.K. Rowling versus Emma Watson. I wish them all well. It would be interesting to know if we could sort our politicians or other leading public figures into particular houses, which one they would be, which one would Keir Starmer be in, which one would Kemi Baker not be in. We might return to that topic. In fact, listeners might well have their own views about whether or not Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw are more represented on the Conservative or the Labour benches. For anyone who does want to make the argument for why it is that Keir Starmer is Gryffindor and why it might be that Wes Streeting is Slytherin, email us at podcast.spectator.co.uk. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we look forward very much to you joining us next week when we are at the Conservative Party conference, not in Hogwarts, but in Manchester. And Maddie and I will be heading up there, not from platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross, but from Euston Station, and our reflections will follow next week.